Your one chance, Skaar. Go back where you came from.
Skaar, the son of the Hulk, origins explained. The legacy of Bruce Banner, the next big thing. Everyone's favorite big green monster has been the talk of the town for a while now. Ever since the release of Marvel's She-Hulk, the entire fandom is curious about the big guy's lineage and blood relations. After Jennifer Walters, the next hero in line that Marvel Studios might decide to explore can be Hulk's original successor, the almighty Skaar. The so-called Smart Hulk is seen in She-Hulk Episode 2, traveling on board Sakaaran's spaceship, evidently returning to attend to some urgent business. But what could it possibly be? According to a popular rumor, Skaar, the Hulk's son, might soon join the MCU, which could indeed spell disaster for Bruce Banner. The Hulk spends 2 years fighting as a gladiator on Skaar in the MCU. Banner and Hulk are separate people throughout that period, and the film emphasizes on how each of them retains their own memories. Therefore, there is a couple years worth of hiatus in the Hulk solo travels that we are unaware of. Furthermore, given that Banner has no recollection of what transpired at that time, it's totally possible that the Hulk had a romantic involvement with an extraterrestrial female. And if that's the case, he might not be aware that he even is the father of a child. The MCU, therefore, has no ideal justification to explain Skaar's existence without deviating from canon. Before we go into our explanation on today's episode, we have a very small request from you. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a teeny tiny click for you, but for us, it means a whole heck of a lot. So thank you, and let's get it started.
Watch it, Rick! Skaar Slash!
The tragedy of Skaarson, early years on Skaar, and exile to Earth. Skaarson was created as a result of the plot of Thor, Ragnarok, Planet Hulk, in which the Hulk was banished from Earth to the furthest reaches of space by the cunning Illuminati because they thought of him to be too dangerous. The Incredible Hulk wakes up on Skaar, much like in the movie, where he excels at the gladiatorial battle before taking on the planet's repressive authorities. He also has a romantic relationship with Kyera, the Old Strong, a Sakaaran lady, which was not seen in the movie. The two become king and queen after overthrowing the previous oppressive government. Kyera, who was at the time carrying the Hulk's kid, was one of the casualties. In the World of War Hulk storyline, Bruce returns to Earth in a fit of rage and despair to extract revenge on those who had previously abandoned him. Later, he discovers that Kyera's last deed was to preserve her kid, who had grown quickly amid the Skaar ruins with the help of gamma radiation present in his DNA. Knowing that the son of the Hulk would seek vengeance, Axeman Bone declared a search and kill operation for the child, but to his dismay, his minions killed the wrong kid. Skaarson was saved growing up amidst the ruins of Skaar, scavenging and killing for survival while turning into a barbarian who developed a unique Tarzan-like identity and called himself Skaar. Growing up amidst otherworldly creatures and monsters resembling giant centipedes, he did not learn to be civilized or distinguish good from evil right away. Fueled by rage, all he could see was his prey, and all he could do was destroy it. He led a conquest of destruction through the vanquished landscape of Skaar, laying waste to everything in his wake. One day, he was finally confronted by Axeman Bone himself during one of the madman's rampages where he would burn a village down, murder the children, rape the women, and take the men as his own slaves. Wielding an axe made out of stone and wood, Skaar got enraged in a fierce battle with Axeman Bone and managed to draw the first blood in 20 years, as stated by Axeman himself. Defeating him and his dragon riders, Skaar overpowered his enemies and managed to cut off the dragon's heads with a sword. This was when he met Princess Omaka, who came to the village's aid. She was the chief contender for the throne, and knowing that it would pose to be a big problem for Axeman Bone if she joins forces with Skaar, he decides to finally retreat. The inhabitants of Skaar soon realized that the Green King that they once admired had left behind not a legacy, but a monster, an animal without judgment, and an enraged being who just cannot stop. With the aid of his supporters, Skaar eventually attained the old power. The Red King, who was allegedly spared from death and reconstructed by cybernetic components by Wildabots, eventually became his ally. Many of the individuals who looked to him as a savior after becoming his allies, including Omaka, lost trust in him and sided with Axeman Bone instead. Skaar almost succeeded in killing Axeman Bone and his followers thanks to his old power, which let him witness every crime committed on Earth. However, Silver Surfer unexpectedly reappeared and informed him that Galactus was heading to Skaar to swallow it. He offered Skaar the option to utilize the old power to resuscitate the long-lost Shadow People technology in order to evacuate the planet. By doing so, Skaar would save the universe and have enough energy to satisfy Galactus's appetite for 100,000 years, making him a hero to the entire universe. Instead, Skaar attempted to wipe off the world, which made the Surfer remove his old power and heal the planet. This rendered the Surfer vulnerable enough for Skaar to implant an obedience disc in him, enslaving his mind and turning him into his minion. Skaar was approached by Kyra's spirit, who urged him to fight for the welfare of the planet's inhabitants, but he insisted upon getting even because he was still furious at Axeman Bone. He was urged to relinquish his fury by Kyra's ghost in one last pleading, but he plunged into combat without respect for the helpless. Kyra then utilized her old power to return as the Hulk in a stone form fist, then as herself, utilizing what little spirit strength she still had left. She then easily defeated Skaar and questioned why he insisted on being a killer rather than trying to make peace. After seeing how corrupted the world was while he briefly wielded the old power, Skaar then announced his scheme for killing everyone on it. In order for him to fully understand the repercussions of his actions, Kyra compelled the Silver Surfer, while he was still under the influence of the obedience disc, to bring Skaar near Galactus, a being who had slain billions. Kyra was giving him one more opportunity at atonement. Skaar was returned to Skaar by the Silver Surfer, who believed he shared Kyra's perspective. She believed Skaar had accepted the Silver Surfer's earlier invitation to leave the planet and went back to sleep while giving him back his old power in order to do so. When Skaar accidentally utilized the old power to destroy the stone ships, the entire world was doomed. He made the judgment that Kyra's spirit and the planet were more significant than its inhabitants. The Silver Surfer was given a deadline by him to spare Skaar or else be the subject to Galactus's wrath, whose hunger will now be fueled by the old power. The Silver Surfer instead decided to leave before revealing Skaar's intentions to the entire populace and warning them of the deaths of billions. Skaar's early years were guided by Kyra's presence, who lived on long after she passed away. However, when Skaar's irresponsible behavior caused Skaar to be destroyed and the last residents to perish, she denounced him. Like father, like son, she used her abilities to evict him from the planet and send him to Earth through a wormhole. Both Mr. Fantastic and She-Hulk, the cousin of the Hulk who was able to detect both his location and gender, saw his arrival. When he initially arrived on Earth, close to Dayton, Ohio, where his father was born, he assaulted a helicopter for having killed a defenseless coyote puppy. The Fantastic Four, She-Hulk, and Skaar then engaged in epic combat. Skaar was sent flying miles away when one of the Osborn's many bombs struck the location where the Fantastic Four were engaged in combat. Skaar, now in what appeared to be his human form, was abandoned in a forest and thought to have perished. In his human form, he became friends with two neighborhood kids and started to question the decisions he had made on Skaar that resulted in the planet's annihilation. The younger sibling hurried to the neighboring police for assistance when one of the siblings hurt himself on a cliff. One of the cops mistakenly thought Skaar posed a threat, so he tasered him and then tried to arrest him. This caused Skaar to revert to his original form, which made his presence known to his father miles away. Skaar inquired as to how to murder his father after running into and assaulting the Warbound. Kate Waynesboro said, "You don't," as the Green Skaar Hulk quickly materialized to challenge him. Skaar and the Green Skaar proceeded to get engaged in a fierce combat. The Warbound first opted not to get involved, but changed his mind once Kate pointed out that their conflict might damage a neighboring power source. When Korg attempted to calm the Green Skaar down, he was attacked, seized, and pounded into Skaar instead. Korg instructed both of them to vent their complaints thereafter. Skaar said that he wished to get revenge on the Green Skaar because he believed that he was the beast who had abandoned him and his world and left them to perish. In response, the Savage Hulk yelled as he continued to speak. Disgusted by his father's apparent lack of knowledge, Skaar questioned whether he even realized who he was. Skaar declared that he had come to murder a king. Instead, he found a clown, which only made him more dissatisfied. Hulk gripped Skaar's face and saw Kyra in his eyes, and this made him revert back to the Worldbreaker once more. However, he was thrown back into Banner's head and regressed to the Savage Hulk. The Savage Hulk swiftly rejected Skaar's request for the Worldbreaker to come back and left the scene. The Warbound were attempting to avert a nuclear disaster at the neighboring power station caused by the conflict when they suddenly received assistance from Hulk and later Skaar. Skaar secured the facility and saved the employees by utilizing his old power. Alo questioned the usage of his blade in the presence of the old power. In response, Skaar stabbed the Hulk in the chest while claiming that it was more enjoyable. Skaar then departed, saying he will only return when the Green Skaar would. It would be a bit of an understatement to say that Skaar and Hulk had a difficult relationship initially. Of course, they have their customary arguments when they meet, but things do improve between them over time. Despite this, Skaar continues to firmly be an anti-hero and spends much of his time alone in the Savage Lands, a part of the Marvel universe where ancient creatures still roam. Later, Skaar met Bruce Banner, who had been denied the opportunity to transform into the Hulk by the Red Hulk. Banner then volunteered to teach Skaar how to slay the Green Skaar should he ever return. In order to assist Skaar to be ready for this encounter, Banner went on to provoke a battle between Skaar and the Juggernaut in Arizona. Skaar demonstrated to his father his ability to combine physical power with brains by shoving Juggernaut into empty space to win his first stage battle after realizing he could not physically stop him. As a second lesson, Banner utilized his recently developed friendship with Wolverine to bring Daken and Skaar together. The idea was to help Skaar confront his history as the son of Hulk and teach him how to distinguish between friends and foes. But the experiment soon took a turn for the worse as Skaar asked Daken to kill him, making the fathers quickly separate their children while also questioning their own parenting. Skaars Redemption as a hero in the Agents of Smash. Skaarson, also known as Skaar, is from the planet Skaar and is also known to be the most enigmatic member of Smash, a teenage barbarian Hulk whose comic book roots as the son of Hulk were only made clear later in the series. Skaar, who recently started working for the leader to learn more about his enigmatic history that could or might not have involved the Hulk, is identical to the Hulk in appearance. The Hulk and Skaar discover themselves in a cave where Skaar created pictograms reflecting his long-forgotten history. Skaar was an orphan who had no recollection of his true parents until being adopted by a kind family. Skaar attempted to resist the leader's conquest when he first emerged, but was abducted and indoctrinated into the madman's personal enforcer and was then made to attack his village and foster family. In the first episode of Agents of Smash, Skaar is sent through a dimensional portal by Annihilus to retrieve a source of gamma energy so that Annihilus and his army can cross over to Earth and dominate it. This plan was foiled by Hulk and his associates, A-Bomb and Red Hulk, as they fought together to prevent Skaar from completing his mission. But he soon managed to break free and use a laser cannon powered by gamma energy to escape from his prison, abduct Red Hulk, and return to Annihilus in the negative zone. Hulk then asked for help from his cousin She-Hulk, and together they flew into the negative zone along with A-Bomb. They were able to stop Annihilus and free Skaar and Red Hulk from the effects of his mind control device. Afterwards, Skaar declares that he was abducted and held prisoner against his will and agrees to join forces with Hulk and stop Annihilus's plan. Little to the knowledge of others, Skaar had been secretly given the task to act as a spy for the leader, as he had blackmailed Skaar to collect information about Hulk and his base of operations. Skaar continues to aid the Hulk and his associates in their adventures and slowly learns the ways of the civilized world. In the final episode of the season, the Hulk and his gang get trapped in the clutches of the Collector, who is using holographic imagery to trick the Hulks into believing that they are living in the perfect world. Thanks to the efforts of Rocket Raccoon in the Guardians of the Galaxy, the gang manages to stop his evil doings and save the world. Skaar is seen enjoying a drink and burgers with his newfound family and celebrating Christmas at the end of the episode. Exploring attributes and abilities of Skaar. What makes him so powerful? Skaar is a self-taught weapons specialist. He is a proficient swordsman and possesses superhuman gamma powers at par with those of Thor and the Hulk, which also helps him quickly recover from any injury. Swords are Skaar's favorite weapon of choice most of the time when he is not utilizing his whip or his well-honed fighting techniques. He wields a broadsword, which was most likely from his home planet Skaar. His obsession with swords is comparable to Red Hulk's fascination with guns and other projectile weapons, but weapons are merely the tip of the iceberg. Let's take a look at what makes this green barbarian a true menace to everyone. Skaar possesses the Shadow People's old power, which enables him to communicate with and influence the planet's stone and earth, control lava, manipulate the massive objects, turn his own body to stone, and even engage in a form of retrocognition that allows him to see all of the people who have ever lived on Skaar in the past 40 moons and the deeds that they have committed. The Silver Surfer took away this power from him, but his mother later gave it back to him. Skaar is the son of Hulk, therefore it stands to reason that he is capable of incredible physical strength, among other things. These talents may either be driven by tremendous rage like his father, or by channeling the old power. Having once used a city's 100 trillion tons of kinetic energy to battle the Hulk, send Juggernaut flying through space, punch distant targets, destroy Skaar's dragons, topple tanks, and battle Ben Grimm with ease. Skaar's powerful legs also allow him to make long leaps because of his considerable strength. He has demonstrated the capacity to maintain his stamina for lengthy periods of time during his time spent looking for Axeman Bone and trying to defend and survive all at once. Skaar's body has a high level of resilience to physical pain and damage, as well as a special immunity to everything heat related, in addition to his Hulk-like power. Skaar's skin can also tolerate intense heat without scorching or suffering significant impact. Skaar has the capacity for near total invulnerability due to his old power bolstered Hulk status. He has endured falls from planetary orbits, withstood blows from iron fists at full power, as well as blows from the stronger Hulk persona, the Green Skaar himself. Skaar has great physical resistance, yet he still may be wounded. He could regenerate injured or lost body parts far more quickly and effectively than other humans. His body just takes a short while for wounds that are fatal to heal. He was wounded in the stomach while engaged in combat with Axeman Bone, but he recovered fast and pursued Bone down. Skaar does not require oxygen, food, drink, or sleep in order to survive in the vacuum of space. He appears to have no signs of aging also. This is due to his powerful healing factor, which renews his cells, as well as the gamma energy and old power that gives him strength. Skaar has the ability to assume the form of a 12-year-old boy. According to human Skaar, he maintained his alter ego until Osborn's bomb struck him. Skaar, a human, transforms into his native form when he becomes enraged. It is uncertain how much Skaar's metamorphosis parallels that of his father, but it is safe to say that he can indeed be a tough competition for him on the battlefield. His flaws are really few. Skaar, for example, was susceptible to the Muramasa blade, which negates the healing powers of superhumans. Once Dakin was able to cut him with the blade, leaving him gravely wounded.
I got you!
Can we expect to see Skaar in the MCU in the near future? Can we expect to see the son of the Hulk in the MCU? Well, it seems very likely that Skaar is the next logical move for MCU. Jennifer and Bruce were involved in a serious crash at the beginning of the She-Hulk Attorney at Law after being struck on the road by a Skaarian spacecraft. Even Bruce can identify the spacecraft as it looks like the one belonging to the Grand Master, Jeff Goldblum. Bruce also tells Jennifer during the episode that the spacecraft was probably delivering a significant message. The plot is advanced in episode 2 by displaying the Hulk aboard the Skaarian spacecraft and traveling into deep space. It makes sense that he would want to travel to Skaar himself to handle the situation directly, as the spacecraft had been sent to Earth to alert Banner about Skaar, his son. Whether or not he would be able to see Skaar in the MCU is still a mystery, but it is safe to say that the day is not too far away. What is your take on the Son of Hulk? Do you think he has what it takes to become the next Avenger, or maybe become MCU's favorite anti-hero? Tell us in the comments below. And if you liked our content, please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to us if you haven't already. In the meantime, have a good one, be safe, and we will see you next time. Thanks everybody.
Here in the end.
No talk! Time for smash!